looking up and admiring beautiful birds just like Stella, who's a black kite, many birds themselves, well, they're looking down and they're searching for opportunities to feed. Well, our next bird we might expect to see sitting up high in a tree, perfectly blending into their environment, sitting, waiting, and watching for their hopefully unsuspecting prey to maybe run underneath. Now, there are a few adaptations that will help them do this, such as nearly silent flight and incredible vision.
Do you ever get that feeling that you're being watched? Owls, they're everywhere. You might not always see them in your own backyards, but they can see you out in the country and even right here in the city. Well everyone, this is Ripley, a barking owl. And barking owls, they will actually hunt during the day. In fact, it's about half the world's species of owls that actually hunt during the daylight, and it's all about what they like to eat. Barking owls, they'll eat other birds.
And using her powerful feet, Ripley could take down prey that is even larger than herself.
The song is gonna happen.
But as the sun goes down, a barking owl is going to look to hunt something a little different. Now that might include mice, rats, maybe even something as large as a possum, before returning to a safe branch to rest.
Well, day and night, owls, just like Ripley, they're out there hunting all sorts of pests, just like introduced rats. And you know, these rats, they can cause a lot of problems for our native wildlife, often taking young birds and eggs straight from the nest. So it is really great that we have owls restoring the balance. In fact, I'll let you all in on a little bit of a secret. We used to have a really bad rat problem here at the zoo. They would be running around all over the place, even right here in the very theatre. But fortunately, ever since our owls moved in, I can honestly say that that problem is now behind us. I know, it's exciting, isn't it? I haven't seen a rat in such a long time. Did you? Where? I know, those owls just do such a great job, don't they? You know, a single owl out there in the wild, they could be eating around 1,000 mice and rats in about a year. A pair that's raising chicks, well, they could be eating around 3,000 more. So they're definitely one of the most beneficial neighbours that you could hope for.
I couldn't agree more. Thanks, George. I am so relieved that problem is behind us. Well, here in Australia, we are lucky to have 8 different types of owl, but that is actually a very small portion of the over 800 different types of bird that call this country home. Around 50 of these bird species happen to be our parrots, which means that for most of us, all we have to do is take a step outside into our own backyards to really experience the beauty of these birds that is all around us.
Well, as we expand our towns and our cities, we're making many changes to the landscape. And not all birds can adapt to those impacts. Many birds, they rely on tree hollows as they provide them with a secure home. And with that, a place to nest and also a place to thrive.
Now, giri happens to mean very red. And as a red-tailed black cockatoo, this isn't a type of bird that we find in Sydney. That being said, here at Taronga, we are home to many different types of wild plants and animals. In fact, Taronga is habitat. Now, we have 2 volunteers who are going to help us demonstrate that exactly today. And I love your enthusiasm, but we did pick them out before the presentation, so thank you. But they're going to be providing support for another red-tailed black cockatoo. Now, you might be thinking she looks quite different to Giri, who we just met, and you're right. As a female, Monatoka has that jet black body with yellow flecks, sort of like stars in a night sky, and her tail, instead of that red, that sort of block red colouring, instead it grades from red through to orange and yellow, sort of like a sunset. Go for it. Beautiful, isn't she? Now, Monatoka gets her name from one of the types of plants that we find in their local environment. And this serves as an important reminder for the role that these birds play.
Our wild cockatoos, they make a mess when they're eating. They're actually dispersing seeds, potentially helping trees to grow and entire ecosystems to flourish.
Now, we mentioned that cockatoos rely on old hollows in trees in which to nest and raise their young. It can take around 150 years for one to begin forming, so you may not have one in your own backyard.
But helping wildlife really does